What is up, guys? Riley here, and today we are starting part 3 of the 4th of July build. Let's see what we've got. Alrighty, so here we go. I've got the Bronco here. It's time to tear into some parts we've got. This shipment is from Little Guy Racing Parts. Very nice set of parts that I'm getting ready to show you. Can't wait to get them on. Let's see what we've got. So, starting off, this is going to be probably one of my favorite things, I think, is the brand new Ghost beadlocks. These are the silver ones. I don't know what they call them, and they look really good. The next thing we're going to be installing, which is going to help out a lot, is these 58 millimeter double barrel shocks from Little Guy Racing Parts. I get a feeling we're going to be taking out the second spring. These are dual springed with a spacer piece. I don't really know what to call it, maybe a collar in the center holding the two separate and kind of together at the same time. So we may be taking one of the springs out, just running one spring so that we can get some droop, because I don't want to lift this Bronco up 32 millimeters higher. The next thing we're going to be installing is the Dinky RC brushless ESC. That's going to hint you to the next thing. This is 8.4 volts, so we'll be running 8.4 volts to the servo, which is really nice because we do have the Eco Power, which can run up to 8.4 volts, which is super nice. Won't have to upgrade the servo. Along with that, with all the other Little Guy Racing Parts stuff, I'm going to be running the Little Guy Racing Parts Creeper. This is a really small motor, and it did not come with a pinion gear, which I had no clue. So I did find a stock pinion gear from a stock motor, swapped that on there. Went on really nicely. So yeah, the next thing, thank you Urgenix for sending these batteries over. Urgenix was kind enough to send over some 900 milliamp hour batteries, which also comes with a dual charger for these, which uses the balance cable. It's not really a smart charger, but it's still a dual charger, which can be really, really nice for beginners, better than the stock SEX24 charger that you get with the truck. Those tend to fail a lot of the time, but these are crazy good. They've got so much power. They do have more power than the 450s, so the 450 milliamp hour batteries. They have more power and more battery life, obviously double the battery life. So that is amazing. I have been happy with these. I actually have never charged. The only time I charged them was out of the box. They were already on half a battery, charged them up, and I haven't charged either one since, and I've been running it in the Bronco and everything, and haven't charged it at all. So that is hilarious. It's crazy how much lifetime they have. And I think they would be perfect for competitions. If you need a little more weight up front, and definitely get this because it's bigger, it'll add a little more weight, and you'll have all the battery life that you need for your competition. But enough of that. Let's go ahead and start tearing down the Bronco so that we can actually get the parts on. Alrighty, so full disclaimer, I did have to swap over to the V1 electronics. Let me show you real quick. As you can see there, it had V2 in it, and you actually can't run those with the Dinky RC receiver, or ESC, not receiver. So I swapped the V2 into my C10 and put the V1 from the C10 into this, just so that we can run it. And it's kind of a win-win. I can run the Dinky in this and have smoother control with the V2 and the C10. All right, so let's go ahead and start crawling. This is the spot that I'm hoping the shocks will help in. It'll give me a little more flex and keep it from flipping over as much. It'll let that axle drop instead of lifting up in the air. Exactly like that. With the shocks on it, it's not going to want to do all that flipping over on the side and such. So hopefully it'll help in that spot. We did flip once. Exactly right there is what we're trying to fix with the shocks. Another thing is, because I have the portals, the axles actually spin backwards, so forward. And with the V1 electronics, I actually can't reverse that, but with the V2 you can, and that is a problem because when I had the V1 or V2 in it, I did have them switched so that everything was straight. And I'm worried about it with the brushless setup because I'm really lacking power with it the way it is because it's spinning backwards. And yeah, so as you can see, it does the hill climb pretty good. Another thing is right here is one thing I want to fix with the ghost speed locks. I don't think it's going to fix it, but not too sure. We'll see what happens. It'll probably get it to sit a little bit lower with the shocks. That might help a little bit, but not too sure. Alrighty, so we're over here. We're going to make an attempt to get up this. Not sure if it's going to do it. So attempt number 1. It's really just lifting up. It's not wanting to do it. As you can see there, we'll fix our piece of bark. We'll give it some throttle. There we go. Give it some throttle and it makes it up it like you just saw. As you could hear, that you could definitely hear that we were lacking power just because the motor is, I'm actually just using reverse on the motor to go forward, where on the V1 or the V2 electronics, when you actually switch the, when you flip the switch, it actually makes reverse forward and forward reverse instead of you just hitting reverse for forward. That doesn't really make sense, but if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. It's kind of funny to explain, but yeah. The next thing I really want to work on is getting up this. This is, for some reason, a pretty challenging line for these trucks. I think it's because it's pretty vertical, and there's a big old gap right here. I probably should fill the gap in just to kind of help. It's kind of annoying. It catches up on every truck we've got, but we'll see if we can get around that with the new parts. So it's kind of having a hard time. Right here is where the shocks would help. It would give me a little more axle droop so that it would go down in that crack and find somewhere to grab. There we go. We got up it and rolled down. But yeah, there's a little baseline test for you guys. Right here, if you saw in the last video, it actually would not go over that. So maybe that'll change with these upgrades. Kind of hoping it will because that's a pretty cool line to hit and kind of show off. Alrighty, so there we go. The Bronco didn't do too bad. I think it's a pretty good basic crawler. Basic upgrades for the most part, other than the axles. They're pretty simple to swap over. To start with, we're gonna go ahead and get the shocks and wheels on, and then last we'll mess with the electronics. I do have Velcro on the Dinky RC ESC and Velcro on the side of the V1 electronics so that I can strap it to it just like that. So yeah, that's already done, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead, pull the wheels off, and we'll get the Ghost bead locks on. They are gorgeous, and I can't wait to see how they look with the Bronco body. All right, so there we go, got all the wheels off. The reason I pulled all the hexes off is because when, for whatever reason, these wheels are really tight on the hexes. So I went ahead and pulled them off because when you pull the wheel off, the hex comes off and The hexes are loose on the axles, which is kind of nice in a way. So that's why I pulled them off. I didn't want to lose any parts.
It's you and me, ay, it's what you need, ay. I got it now.
Alrighty, so there we go. We got a few things troubleshooted so that it'll actually be drivable now, which is great. I can't wait to get it on the course. We jumped a lot of hurdles off camera for us to get here. There was a lot of things that we had to change about the truck chassis, and it was kind of a mess, but we got through it. Definitely a lot more things that I do need to change. It has more flex than this. I need to find a softer rubber band. These are a little tight for it, so they're not letting it flex all the way. It's got way more flex, and the body limits it, so maybe next video we'll kind of trim the fenders a little bit, but I don't know, we'll see what it brings us. So we got everything on, the wheels are on, and man, don't they look gorgeous. I love the look of the wheels with the red body and the super swampers, I think they are. I can't remember. And the flag on top, it all just came together really great. And I like the look of them. I like the stance. Definitely need to go a little bit wider. I don't have to go like a lot wider, but I'm definitely going to go wider. The next thing is the inside is a bit of a mess. As you can see, it looks like a rat's nest. We're definitely going to be getting that straight. I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to do for that. And the shocks are moved so it sits lower. I've got the shock moved to this right here, which is the back mount for the body mount. And then for the rear, I've got it on the front mount for the battery mount, which is right here. So it's all the way down there. I'm still getting all the flex, and it's letting it sit way lower, as you can see, just like that. And I like the stance of it now. I might lower the body post a little bit so it's not as squatted, but it looks great. Now the droop is nowhere near as bad. It was like absolutely terrible. One problem I did run into was with the motor, the pinion gear on it. I used a stock pinion gear off of a stock motor because that's what I had. I threw it on there, and I noticed when it's under a load, it actually spins on the shaft. So I'm gonna drive it around and let it heat up, and maybe it'll try or kind of melt to the shaft. We'll see what happens. But yeah, let's go ahead and get this beast outside. Alrighty, so here we go. You can definitely hear the rubbing. This is the part where all that flex is definitely going to help us. Usually with the stock shocks, that would have flipped over because it's not having the flex it needs. Really see that tire squish right there. Was having a bit of a connection problem, which is quite odd. Now it seems way jumpier. So maybe something was up. And man, this thing is boogieing. You can see right there where it's rubbing on that rear bumper, and it's just sitting there shaking. Wow, that thing looks great. So now we're gonna hit the incline. As you can see, we're definitely doing it. At the bottom, I've noticed all the trucks are really slipping. There is polyurethane on it, so it's kind of slippery. But as you can see, we can slow crawl right up it and right up the wall, which is pretty amazing. Now, I'm gonna go ahead There we go. That is awesome. That's exactly what I was looking forward to, is getting it to actually do that. I don't know exactly what's making it do that, probably because it's sitting lower and those wheels are really giving it some low weight. But as soon as we hit the throttle, it slides a little bit, but it will crab walk along it. Let's see if we can do it again. Oh, the twist, the kind of torque twist got it there. Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna be able to get it again. As you can see, we can kind of crab walk along the side of it, but it's definitely better than it was before. Alrighty, so I'm gonna go ahead and test the slow crawl. I'm gonna do my best. I'll probably put it in low. See if we can get it to go. Not too bad. But we can go way slower. Not too bad. We're going to be testing the kind of jump up from slow to high. I can't remember what that's called. Oh my goodness. We'll come back and do it again. I don't think there is one. I see a little bit of a jump right there, but man, that is super smooth, and it really isn't much of a jump. It's pretty easy to control. I'm really in love with this Dinky RC ESC and the Creeper motor. So far, it's just super smooth. And I think after running it the first time, letting that pinion gear kind of melted to the shaft. So I think we're pretty good on that part. So now it's time to see if we can actually do this time without just full throttle. Looks like we're still pretty top heavy. The bumper is dragging. Oh, our axle is really dropping. There we go. Took a bump and we're actually on the wrong line. There we go. There it is. So now the spur gear is actually slipping. Or pinion gear, not the spur gear, is slipping on the shaft. So we're definitely gonna have to figure out how to fix that. Now we're gonna go ahead and try this, see how it does. Hopefully the axle droop will help. Having a hard time getting up on the rock. But once we get up there, it was pretty good. Boom. We're able to kind of bump over it, which is kind of what you have to do in this area because of the because of that gap up there. But once you get on that rock, it'll go on up. There it is again. We're still running into some issues with that pinion gear on the shaft, which is kind of throwing it all off. So it'll definitely do that, but we're having troubles with our pinion gear on the motor. Definitely gonna have to message or email Little Guy Racing Parts and kind of figure that out, see what I'm doing wrong. But wow, this thing is performing. Alrighty, so here we are back in the shop. And for starters, I'm a little bummed out about the pinion gear problem. we'll definitely have to get that fixed, because if not, then it's not really drivable. So I'll probably in the next video, I'll do my best to figure that out. And in the next video, we're definitely going to be cleaning up the chassis a little bit, maybe 3D print some things for it to clean it up and cover it up. The battery tray is definitely not the best, but like I said, next video, we're definitely going to work on that. It was pretty easy to get the rubber bands set up. I've got one in the rear over the rear links. Pretty simple. As you can see right there, it's just right in there. And then I've got one on the servo mount hooked around the body mount for the Bronco. So that was it was a pretty simple fix to the droop, as you can see. So the droop is actually really good now. I definitely think I'm gonna grab the Little Guy Racing Parts rubber band piece for the servo that they have. I think that would definitely be nice, especially with the amount of droop we've got. Definitely gonna have to upgrade to some metal drive shafts so that we can stop dropping our front drive shaft, because that'll keep falling out because we've got enough droop. The motor has plenty of power. I really noticed how much power it is, even with the pinion slipping. When it didn't slip, it was really nice, really smooth. It's got a very good slow crawl. And for the Dinky RC ESC, I honestly really like this thing. It's very compact. It's kind of the same size as the VuryTech ESCs. It's got a external programmer, so you got to plug it into the programmer and plug that into your computer or whatever. So that's kind of, it doesn't really suck, but it's different, something you got to get used to and figure out. I would love to do an avatar system in this, but not too sure. But yeah, the wheels are great. There's plenty of weight with the wheels. I think they really helped out on the ramp. Before, we couldn't even get it to sit sideways on the ramp. It would just flip off, and now it almost has no problem doing it. So that was definitely a big difference. I'm very happy with the look of these wheels. The wheels come with wheel nuts, which are really nice. They go on really nicely, and it comes with a really good tool. We noticed with the Endura and Mofo RC tools for their wheel nuts, they kind of break really easily. And this, after using this, I don't think this is going to break anytime soon. And it does fit in your 4.0 box for your wheel nut. So that was really nice, because I wasn't having to find a bigger box wrench for that. So I was happy with that. Everything went together somewhat smoothly, other than having to figure out how to fit the forward-facing motor and everything. There were a lot of things that I worried about and didn't need to at the end of it, like the whole reverse situation with the portals. And luckily, with it being forward-facing, the motor's then reversed. So forward is forward, reverse is reverse, which is super nice. It really just gets you away from that headache. You're not having to deal with that, figuring out how to fix it, trying to change wires and stuff, which is would really be hard with these brushless motors, because they're not like the brush motors where you can easily access them. And the brushless motors have 3 wires, so it's just kind of confusing when you go to that. But for the most part, it does really good. Because it's an 8.4 volt ESC, the servo was super fast. I really noticed that. It was a big difference in the servo. It was a lot faster and definitely stronger. I'm really liking the servo, even though it's only a 12 gram, which is surprising for its size. It is super strong. Stronger than the Emax, obviously. We're running 8.4 volts on it. which it allows you to do that because it's a high voltage servo. So that is awesome. Other than that, I mean, I'm pretty blown away with this build. We're definitely going to have to fix it so that we can run this 900 milliamp hour battery. And we'll see what the next video brings us. See what I decide on in upgrades and such. Maybe a chassis. That would be pretty cool. Definitely need some high clearance links of some sort, but we'll see. Thank you guys for watching. Hit the notification bell, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.